Mr. President, distinguished delegates, I must begin by associating my delegation with the congratulations which other distinguished speakers have extended to you, sir, on your unanimous election to the presidency of the 19th session of the General Assembly. The honor of your election is one in which all African states will share and take pride. Yet, the primary honor must go to your country and to yourself, for this is a happy choice which is based upon your reputation for wisdom, good judgment, and diplomatic skill. Equally, into an armed conflict. In the Congo, too, we have witnessed in recent weeks developments of a most grave and alarming nature, contrary to accepted international practice, and in defiance of the principles of the United Nations Charter and of the appeals of African states. We have had the distressing experience of witnessing a flagrant and armed intervention in the domestic affairs of the Congolese people. The crisis precipitated by these unfortunate developments is ominous, and the repercussions may well be far-reaching. In situations which are politically intricate, it is important that we should encourage the people concerned to settle their own problems, and that if outside assistance is needed, it should be done by an organization which is impartial and whose motives are above question. It is for these reasons that the Somali government has advocated from the beginning that the Congo problem be left to the Congolese people to solve. And because of the special political circumstances prevailing in the country, for outside assistance to be given through the medium of the Organization of African Unity. By these means, we would not only confine the problem to the African continent through an organization of which the Congo is a member state, but we would also prevent the situation from becoming another arena in the Cold War struggle. The Somali government is firmly convinced that the Congo situation can still be saved if all nations at this stage give their unqualified support to the efforts and recommendations of the OAU. All states should first respond to the appeal of the organization to refrain from interfering in the domestic affairs of the Congo. By doing so, they will create conditions which would assist the organization in bringing about peace and national reconciliation in the Congo and end the senseless slaughter which is taking place. My government has already proposed that the Congo question be again discussed by an extraordinary session of the OAU Council of Ministers. It is our hope that this special meeting of the Council of Ministers of the Organization of African Unity, there will emerge a solution which will contribute effectively towards the early restoration of peace and to the establishment of those conditions necessary for the orderly government and development of the Congo in accordance with the express wishes of the people. All that we ask now is for nations to refrain from all forms of interference in the domestic affairs of the Congo and not to indulge in activities likely to impair or frustrate the efforts of the OAU in its quest for a speedy and peaceful solution. I have found it important to give this August Assembly concrete examples of the dangerous situations which exist in both the Horn of Africa and the Congo, simply to illustrate the reality of these tensions which exist not only in Africa but throughout the world. Mr. President, it exists. If only one looks at many of the problem areas of the world, this clash between the interests of states and the interests of the people is striking. In South Africa and Southwest Africa, the policy of apartheid is in a sense a policy of oppression of the majority of the people in order to sustain a concept of state interest which appeals to the white minority. The same is largely true to the recent developments in South Rhodesia, where the denial of equality to all men produces an attempt at democracy, which is a flagrant denial of all that democracy means. In other parts of Africa too, the vestiges of colonialism remain in a vain effort to preserve for the alien few the benefits which are the natural right of the indigenous people. In the Portuguese colonies, there exists the most blatant denial of the rights of the people, a denial persisted in by Portugal in utter defiance of the wishes of this assembly representing the conscience of the world. So too, in French Somaliland, the French government has carefully nurtured and fostered a regime which gives the semblance of a regime acceptable by the people. Mr. President, sir, it is time this shame was exposed, and I sincerely hope that this assembly, through its own organs and in consultation with the OAU, will do so. My government cannot rest content until the peoples of this territory are given their freedom, their right to choose their own political destiny. Elsewhere in the world, the true interests of the people are frustrated and destroyed by alien domination. In Aden and the British protectorates, the United Kingdom still has a tenuous hold upon areas which she deems to be necessary for her own safety, on a strategic or economic grounds. But of the interests of the people of those areas, nothing is said. And as these are ignored, so the tension mounts. Many thousands of Somalis live in Aden, and there exist historic and traditional links between the peoples of South Arabian Peninsula and the Somali Republic, which stretch over the centuries to join us in friendship. Therefore, my country has a special concern in seeing that the peoples of those territories are allowed to shape their own political future, free from all outside interference. In Africa, Europe, and Asia, nations are divided and thus provide a constant source of tension and a continuing threat to world peace. In whose interests are they divided? Certainly not the interests of the peoples of those areas. Indeed, if outside powers were to cease their intervention in the affairs of the peoples of these areas, my government is confident that these situations will stabilize and the peoples would work out their own solution, as they have the right to do. Mr. President, I am in short appealing for the application of the right of self-determination of all peoples, not as just another political slogan or even a pious statement of human rights, but as a legal principle which can contribute to the elimination of tension in the world. I believe that this principle, if applied genuinely as a principle of positive action by all member states, would effectively contribute to the maintenance of international peace. My government sees the application of the right of self-determination as a means of ending its strife and tension, not as a means of creating it. We do not advocate the fragmentation of existing states, creating units which have neither political or economic viability. And I may add that no claims my government has ever made on behalf of Somali peoples or any other peoples would have this effect. We are advocating a rational, practical principle, not anarchy. Nor do we advocate the impossibility of a free, multiracial state society. Indeed, in many parts of the world, we should hope to see such societies flourish as a tribute to the spirit of cooperation. But, Mr. President, that unhappy state can exist only when all the elements within the state are, despite differences in their ethnic, cultural, linguistic, or religious origins, willing and cooperative parts of one and the same state society. But when they are not, when their participation has to be exacted by force, then the society is no longer free, and the brave experiment, which in many cases the colonialists tried, becomes enslavement for those peoples who wish to be free. The alternative then become either enslavement of a people in the interests of some state whose control is alien to them, or alternatively, freedom under their own rule, or in association with another state according to the political and economic realities of the situation. Which of these two alternatives shall be chosen? I have no doubt, Mr. President, that the choice of this organization must be the latter, that of freedom for the people. I say this not simply because their right of self-determination is enshrined in the Charter, but also because, in the long run, the choice of the former alternative, that of subjugation of a people in the interests of an alien state, can only lead to tension and strife. Therefore, Mr. President, I would hope to see within the United Nations, and in particular within those organs such as the Committee of 24, which are especially concerned with the elimination of oppression in the form of alien rule and new and strengthened emphasis upon the right of self-determination. Not self-determination as construed by states which have particular national policies to pursue in defiance of the wishes of the people, but self-determination as construed by the people, which is particularly crucial to a smaller country with a limited range of exports. And that is to ensure that whatever benefits we may gain from increased productivity with the aid of technical assistance should not be taken from us by a swing in the balance of trade, which is forever against us. We need some guarantee of markets for our products, and we need some guarantee of fair prices. It is in this area that the United